The next day, Olivia is bitter over the fact that it's morning and Malcolm never came to her room for a post-wedding cuddle. In fact, he's already left the house without saying good day. She responds by taking her frustrations out on the staff, being firm and a bit hostile with them. She is informed that it will be her decision what the weekly menu will be, but she'd rather just stick with the status quo so as not to upset the apple cart. Sounds sensible for her first big decision as Mrs. Malcolm Foxworth. She tours the house so that she can get a feel for this mansion that has become her prison. In the library, she finds there is a door to a potential work area for herself, and this makes her hopeful that Malcolm will want her to work near him. I think she's being too optimistic. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, please. She makes plans to fix up the work area and make it pretty with plants and paintings. Would you look at that? She's just like the little Dollenganger children who will decorate their dreary attic space 35 years later. I wonder if that's where Chris gets his cockeyed optimism. Who would have ever thought the mean old grandmother had it in her? Since she's on a roll here, she decides to be really naughty and trespass in her mother-in-law's abandoned quarters. I don't think Malcolm will be too happy if he catches her, but she seems to think that her husband couldn't possibly have meant that she was forbidden to enter this room. Only the pesky, unimportant servants are to be kept out. She is impressed by the magnificent swan bed. Everyone who sets eyes on it can't seem to shut up about it. Malcolm catches her in his mother's room and is terribly vexed to find her there. This leads to him telling her the truth about his mother. She didn't die. She ran away when he was about 5 years old, and that's his side of the story. That's why he's the ogre that he is. I can't help but wonder if his father killed his mother and only pretended she ran away. That would be a secret befitting of a Foxworth man. And his mother Corinne sounds like just the kind of flake who would have been asking for a quiet burial at sea. Or maybe Malcolm accidentally pushed her down a flight of stairs, and his father Garland covered it up. The possibilities are endless. But as far as the book says, she ran off with some faceless lover, who is also now a suspect in her possible murder. Talk about his hated mother always gets Malcolm's libido going, so he takes his wife right there in the infamous swan bed. The next day, all is forgiven when Malcolm tells Olivia he's preparing a little post-wedding party for her. She's so excited, she's practically a Pointer Sister. She decides to go looking through the house again, because this house is so huge, it would probably take months to explore every single room. This time, she winds up in the little room in the north wing with a stairwell that leads to the attic. It occurs to her that this is probably a room that was created with a very specific purpose of locking away annoying family members. She suspects maybe some black sheep cousins spent time there in the past. In Flowers in the Attic, it is made known that she is afraid of attic spaces because she used to be locked in closets by her parents as a child, but she seems to have no trouble going up to the attic on this particular occasion. Up there she finds creepy furniture draped in white cloth, pantaloons, and bird cages. The bird cages in particular give her the idea to collect birds all of a sudden. Malcolm will later nix that idea. She also finds a dusty picture of her absent mother-in-law Corinne and a schoolroom. Suddenly, she recovers the memory of being locked in a closet by her mother and can't tolerate being up there any longer. So down the stairs she goes. After talking to Malcolm about this secret room, she finds out that there were indeed some black sheep cousins who were kept there in the past. Maybe Olivia is psychic. Maybe that's why she always seemed to know what those darn Dollenganger children were up to in the first book. At the party, Olivia feels tall and awkward. The other guests are girlish and silly. They wear clothes that are white or pastel-colored, so apparently that tells you all you need to know about them. These women gossip about Olivia and how homely she is. They suspect Malcolm sees this as a business marriage of sorts. Malcolm flirts with all the pretty ladies, and this surprises Olivia because she thought he found flighty women to be a turn-off. Apparently she took him at his word. Imagine that. He wanders off with some woman named Amanda. She later finds them in the library together, and he acts like it's no big thing. So we learn that the only reason Malcolm married Olivia is because she has the body for bearing the many babies he demands. That night is the night Malcolm decides to come to Olivia and demand she start off by giving him a son. She suspects this is not the way making babies works. You don't just appear naked in your wife's room, demand a son, and voila, 9 months later, baby Malcolm arrives into the world. But this is Malcolm Foxworth we're dealing with, so 9 months later, voila, baby Malcolm makes his grand entrance. They call him Mal because apparently that's different enough from Malcolm to avoid confusion. Her second son is born about 2 years later. His name is Joel Joseph. What kind of lazy name is that? Joel is a frail child right from the start. Frailty, thy name is Joel Joseph Foxworth. So this displeases Malcolm. He is also displeased with the fact that Joel is not a girl. And it turns out Olivia can't have any more children because the second birth was a difficult one. A very well-respected doctor gives Malcolm the news, but his credentials mean nothing to Mr. Foxworth. It's not the news he was hoping for, so it's wrong. When Malcolm speaks of the future of his family business, he only speaks to his 3-year-old son, informing him that he will be the one to take over in adulthood. He ignores the younger one's existence. Or maybe, Olivia, it's easier to have a conversation with a 3-year-old than with a child who is not even 1 yet. Why so pessimistic all of a sudden? Olivia gets a telegram one day stating that her father is being cuddled close to God's bosom. In other words, he's dead. What's all this talk of bosoms? God doesn't have a bosom. God is a non-physical being. This is ridiculous. Olivia wants to go to the funeral. She says the decedent is her only father. Glad she clarified that for us. Otherwise, I might have thought I was reading about a modern family. Malcolm doesn't want to be left alone with the boys, and I'm sure for the boys, the feeling is mutual. By the time he agrees to let Olivia attend her father's funeral, she's missed the train she needed to get on, and so she arrives late. This reminds me of the time in Petals on the Wind when Kathy wanted to attend her brother's graduation, and Julian tried to stop her. Eventually, Kathy drugged him and went anyway. She also referred to Chris as her only brother, which makes sense when you're talking about a brother. John Amos is 23 now. He comforts Olivia in her time of mourning, and they discuss the will. Olivia wonders how her father knew enough about how shady Malcolm was to keep him from inheriting any of her money. If that's true, he apparently cares more about his money than he does about his own daughter. Back at home, Malcolm terrorizes his young son some more, and Olivia learns that her father-in-law, Garland, will be returning to Foxworth Hall with his new wife. Finally, Olivia will have a wise old woman to look up to. Or will she?